while I wait for folks to come back, thank you. We had a bit of a mishap that happened, and the less said about it, the better. It's I forgot my wrist brace. So we are back. Thank you again for those who are sticking with us and coming back in to the. Since I have to restart this a little bit, I'll restart this. I am, of course, your host, Nick Tockert. This is the Historical Fencing Guild's live stream, and I have the nerve damage in my bad hand acting up just a bit. At a point, I forgot to close the door, but it has been one of those days, folks. And we were talking about the evolution of weapons. Now, when you're talking about why I was getting into this, is the shield evolved to re-meet the sword. And though it's interesting, though the sword has fallen out of use in most areas, yes, the ceremonial swords still exist. Yes, which is to the point I will not own, nor wear, nor wield a military issue sword. I've been asked about this because I do like sabers. I do like narrow-bladed straight swords, spaldoons, and I could very cheaply buy a replica of any of the military-style swords. However, those who know me know I am absolutely vehement about avoiding either stolen valor or worse, which in my case, that would be like carrying a Confederate States of America style, replica sword. I simply won't do it. I just don't. I think that's flying a flag you have. I don't agree with and haven't earned. I am also having a bit of trouble. I've talked about my hand injuries, and one has led to another. So, thank you, whoever has hopped back on. Sorry about the derailment. As you guys know, it takes a lot to derail me, but protocols are there for a reason. So, what do we have coming up? I am hoping in the very near future to shoot a couple videos. And, we got ping. Let me see. Nope. That has nothing to do with this. So I do want to really focus on being there for my female students and prospective female students especially, because people need to stop treating a female martial artist as disadvantaged. You're not disadvantaged. You have a different set of strengths. And if we stopped looking at it from a social, economic gobbledygook and start going, your body slightly differently, and go, wow, if your body is moving differently, the style you fight might need to be different to match the way your body moves. And yes, upper body strength is often a male trait. I get that. And size, very often. Somebody like John, who, oh yes, I have to put a message. I am back. Okay. I don't know how late this one will go. We'll see who shows up. And thank you for the person watching this video. But, God, it's been a day. Weapons have evolved. Armor has evolved. We went through a period where the firearm negated armor, basically. It's what brought back lighter. It's what influenced defensive weapons. And, weapons of defense, manual of defense. You look at how fencing is taught. Thank you for the likes. It's taught very often from a civilian standpoint, where especially with something like a rapier. Now, if you look at a saber, especially, saber was and still is to an extent a military weapon, and very different approach. The manuals often are of a military nature, and I find this fascinating. When you look at who was teaching it, what their background was, the context, Matt Easton's could come flying in here, but the context of how the weapon was developed and was used. And this is very close to the 1918 patent saber. So, I mean, this is a very practical weapon. I have a brace of these, a case of them, if you will. I honestly, as much as I love this weapon, I probably should show it. It is a bit long for me. I can certainly make it go. It's somewhere around a 41, 42-inch blade, which is a little long, and the balance is a little different. But it is a fine weapon, especially for someone who might be a little bit taller than me. And if you look, it is, wow, okay, it's about 3-4 inches longer than the small sword I made myself for training, but a very similar design. The major difference being essentially a cross piece, and that was more for I needed that keyhole grip for comfort. And I need to reshape the hilt because I have small hands, and we have to get over this machismo crud. If a small, lighter sword is more comfortable for you, by all means use it. If you like a larger or a two-handed sword, by all means use it, but understand if you don't have strength to use it now, you're going to have to acquire the strength and skill to do it. I've fought with a lot of different weapons. They've fought with me. But stupid hand. The nature of the weapon is going to match them. So if they're like, oh, that's heavy for a woman. First off, we got to talk some things about weight and weapons. There are myths that need to be shattered, and one of them across the board about swords, okay? There is this idea of the weight of a sword and excessive. And yes, some swords are a bit heavier, but they're not going to be 12 pounds, 14 pounds. They're not going to be heavy as sledgehammers a lot of the time. And for the really big ones, you're using two hands wide apart, so you have leverage. The long sword, a nice two-handed sword, which I don't usually deal with in these videos, largely because I deal with the inside world, being that I'm a hobbit and my filming situation is what it is. They don't. You can get a lot of comfort, a lot of strength. I've known several women who preferred that, or they preferred pole arms to offset their reach limitations. My wife loves about a 7.5-foot glaive was her bread and butter. Although I saw her do things with a 9-foot spear that make my heart beat fast. Because I'm sorry, there's few things sexier than a capable woman. John Miner piped in, my weapons are lighter than most of what others are using. Yes, John, they are, and they're usually pretty well balanced. A lot of times I find people are not balancing their rapiers as lightly as you do. And I really, especially for a thrust weapon, before we get into his next comment, I like the point of balance to be almost exactly either in the pinch of my keyhole grip or just past it. But I want that as close to the guard for a thrust light weapon. This is why I like things that are really close to small swords, because it's light, it's elegant. I still have that, passionate love for my Bilbo, the little Spanish cavalry straight-bladed sword. Yes, I just love it. About a 24 to 28-inch blade. You could draw it on, tangled up in horseback, nearly full hand protection, just enough guard to do fencery shenanigans. Great weapon. And you know what? I'm allowed to have my favorites because, well, they're my favorites. Now, John says you can't swing a broadsword while you're in the forest. And gosh darn it, is he right. You can't. And if you want more on this, look up Michael Longcore's song, Penzik Number 4. A classic, kind of legend amongst mid-Rome skating circles. And one I like. Let me see. Taking the comments. Yes, I mentioned modern swords, and I got pulled back to that. Thank you. The Marine Corps is a very strange entity when they talk about knives versus swords. However, and my enunciation is going to butcher it. In Malaysia, the gintung, which is me saying it like it's spelled, is a really neat, long cutting knife. It's basically a hyper-evolved machete, and they're deadly effective. So-called bolo knives, big, wide things. There are periods when swords, knives, and bayonets all were kind of being experimented. You come up with interesting weapons. But I always, and it keeps coming back to this, and I'm going to keep saying it till it sinks in, that scale your weapon to you. Which means, if I want to talk one of my most comfortable rigs, although I almost want to put, maybe one of these days I'll order another one and make a more thrusty one. This is my 30-inch diamond schlager. Okay. Let me get in position. Here we go. If I get online and I wanted to pick a sword to carry everywhere, like I'm going D&D, it would probably be about this length. I probably would have more of a Bilbo. I want my cross guard. I want my little bit of quillion to do shadiness with. But, if you punctured a raised quillion through here and right out the front, this would be about it. The balance point, and I'm okay touching it because I'm going to be oiling it again, is a little out there. It's not bad. So let me get it just right. Sorry. It's a bit out there. Like I said, it's not bad. This is rigged for saber or more saber-like applications. So you're going to find Marines tend to go for the fighting knife and machete. Yes, and in Malaysia, where Screama is popular, the gintung works. It's a machete, essentially. It's a really neat weapon. History Channel Human Weapon did a whole thing on it, and it's fascinating because by anybody who doesn't know terminology or is very practical, they go, that's a short sword. But because swords have special meaning to the Marines, it is just a big knife. And John can attest to this. I love the realm where a short sword and a big knife meet up. Beautiful, beautiful things happen. And I just happen to love that. It fits. Why? Because it's scaled to me. Now, for John, a weapon similar to that would start roughly around the 24, 26-inch range, to the point where the sword I just showed up is literally about to scale like this is to me. So he does things like that technique-wise. I have seen very little of Game of Thrones, largely because I have one TV and, a child. Oh, agricultural tools, yes. I actually have a whole section talking about Dustics, which I adore. A Dustic is basically a period machete where the blade comes out. For the people who don't know, it's a nice, usually slightly sweeping blade, narrows to a rat tail that curls up on itself to give a guard. Now, I love them, and it is literally on my forging to-do bucket list is to at least make a Dustic style knife, if not a full Dustic, depending on what I have the facilities to do. And it was used like you use a machete, and it was also a sword commoners had. A wonderful weapon. But Meyer goes into Dustics extensively, to the point that the leather Dustic trainer's design that was used in period and later is still in use. You can still buy the leather trainers. And the reason they like the leather trainers even now over the plastic is that the steel has kukri. Again, John mentions kukri started in farming was that. But steel, when steel and steel touch, especially sharp steel, there's a sort of bite sensation. And one of the hardest things with a plastic trainer like this, for somebody who's fought steel for any length of time, even the rapiers, and I think John can attest to this too, is it's too smooth. There's no bite. The information you get from contact, it's almost like it's in different tone. It's like listening to somebody who's speaking in a foreign accent softly when you're used to a much more clear, concise tone. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's very it's a complex concept to pair. The leather, oddly enough, will bite just enough to simulate that. So they're interesting, but they're grotesquely expensive. So unless you're really devoted to the historical and you have the funds, although I think is it Purple Heart? I can't remember. Our good friend Ryan Coker, resident Meyer expert and just an excellent swordsman and a talented swordmaster, and that is not something I say lightly, brought some over. And if you dig through the annals of our videos way back, you'll find me and he and I having a really, really florid, colorful bout with them. I was impressed with the way they handled, even if they are a little loose because of the way the dowel inside moves. It's interesting. But another thing that Meyer gets in there, there isn't a drag and grip with the plastic. Plastic feels great for actually more katana style. When you want a smooth flow, sparring with that gives it gives you that really, it feels pretty. It feels very watery, which is something you want depending on your style. I believe in very fluidic styles, especially with something with a subtle curve like a katana has. Yeah, the PVC trainers are too slick. Like I said, the leather Dustic trainers, let me see. While I'm here, I will look up to see if I can remember who put them out, because I can't. I thought it was Purple Heart Armory, but I'm not. Let's see who's. Yep. They've come down, folks. Actually, I'm kind of pleased about this. They've come way down, and you can actually get a leather Dustic trainer for $100, which, while that sounds excessive, it really is. It really is a good deal for what it is. And they have a 4-pack that's on sale, like right now, for $368. So that's kind of, again, it's an investment, but if you are really, if you become devoted to that style, it's something to look up to. And no, Purple Heart doesn't give me any money. I just, if given the choice between a European trainer company and an American trainer company, I'm sorry, I'm just going to support local. I believe in buying local. I believe, if we want to fix the American economy, we have to start getting the capacity to make and sell things that we've made here to each other. That's way off base of the normal realm of the channel. I find myself trying to figure out how to fix the lack of edge drag, and I'm wondering if I were to take a trainer and put like a line of grip tape to get that sort of resistance, if that would work. It may be something I have to tinker with, but the problem again falls with you can get a plastic trainer for $35, and I would far rather be able to train 10 people with plastic trainers than 4 with leather. It just boils down to the amounts. And being me, a good PVC bender can do some interesting things. I don't know. I've never attempted to use a PVC bender to make a Dustic that actually curls in on itself. I am now seriously tempted to give that a shot, just mostly out of curiosity. But what do you guys think? Pipe in. My point, and I always keep coming back to this, but it's beloved. There is no shame in using a weapon that fits you. If you are a big guy and they're like, oh, he's swinging a big telephone pole, guess what? Big guy likes the telephone pole. Let him have the telephone pole. If you're a little person, you got a little sword. Great. Get one scaled to you. Arya's needle makes me happy. Okay? It makes me happy in my black, twisted little heart. I actually got to handle a one-to-one replica of the thing. That was a fast, crazy little sword. It was a little small for me, which is saying something. But I wasn't going to spend $400 for it, as nice as it was. But you have to. Now, if you want to do a two-handed, that's the other thing. Guys, this isn't the best example, but if you're short, oh, wait. There you go. You want to see what my hand in this? Now, this is sized for like lacrosse gloves, hockey gloves, or armored fingered gauntlets. I say fingered because you need to be able to. Sorry, the tape holding the bandage on is falling off. Anyway, you need to be able, in my mind, to get that keyhole grip. Keyhole grip is cake and ice cream and all things good and beautiful in this world. The keyhole grip is Elvira and Dolly Parton hugging, okay? It's important and it's beautiful. And if that phrase upset anybody, I really couldn't care less. Even the Shinais give a very weird feel, especially rattlers. I would, for the purpose of training, Shinais are a little safer for impact, but I'd almost rather use a wooden boken than a Shinai for blade feel purposes. And yes, I used wooden boken. I own several. Somewhere buried in this is the first wooden boken I carved myself and sealed with ivory. Irish spring. I needed something to seal the wood, and I had no access to anything else, so I just used Irish spring soap. So it has a faint light blue patina to it after all these years. But don't be afraid to start from nothing. That's why wooden dowel rods can work surprisingly well, because they'll give you a little bit of bite, a little bit of tacto. And you need that. You need to get where when your sword is in contact to another sword, you can feel. You feel, what do you feel? You feel the intent. It tells you. I know it sounds mystical. It really does to people who don't understand. What tacto can do, excuse me, sounds vaguely mystical. You can feel the intent, the aggression. You can feel, are they pushing? Are they hesitant? Are they going to try to flow through? As soon as your blades touch, you can tell if you're stronger than they are. If their blade is wobbly, it's a flood. It really is a flood of information. And you don't get that as much with the plastic trainers. As much as I often okay. Oh, but that's what they have to do. It's neat. I get scolded sometimes because I'm practical. Okay, I'm not going to say this style is better than this style. You'll never hear me say this. You'll say I don't like this, doesn't, and I'll tell you why. But very rarely does one style defeat another. You know what I mean? It's more complex than that. And it's not just the style, it's how you're using it. That's why, my book had a lot of things in it that I didn't see any other book have. I didn't see any other book, at least in Western thought, try to break down the mentality of your opponent. Other than you'd hear like the barbaric swordsman would do this, or the learned swordsman, learned opponent, to judge, what they're saying, but really that is needed to know where to now and who is going to have control. John Miner just put that tactic, and I think it's autocorrect on his phone. That tacto feel is need to know where you needed to know where you have contact and who is going to have control. That's funny because, and I tell the story a lot. Many, many, many years ago, I had a fencing bout with Professor Peter. He accomplished fencer, accomplished swordsman, did some stuff that pissed off some other people, pardon my French. But he would do a class where he would spar with you for a while and tell you what you're doing right. You see, the most people approach a fencing class. Oh, I'm going to teach you this style. So, bam, bam, bam. This is George Silver's approach to dagger fighting. Cool. And if you're not doing it right, you're doing it wrong. I don't know. That's not what he did. He did what are you doing right? So he'd spar with you and stop. And it was really interesting because I was like, I will literally do this with you all day. There's no line out here. I don't know why. Politics weirdness. So I spent a huge chunk of an afternoon sword fighting with this really, really neat guy. And he's fighting like, and he'd look at me and he'd think for a minute and we'd go at it again. I want to say stop doing this, but it's what works for you. You refuse my blade. Now, a lot of swordsmen will go for that tacto because they want the information. And the problem is they want that information so bad they're willing to give up the information about themselves. Some things I knew about my opponent because I could assess my opponent beyond the sphere tacto. He was taller, he was stronger, he was a heavy fighter. He was accomplished. He'd been fighting longer than I'd been alive. So what I knew is if I go blade to blade with him at any point, he has the leverage, arm strength, and just experience to make my blade go wherever he wants. So my first rule in that case was never, unless it was doing something, my blade wasn't touching his. It was in a place where it could if it had to, but I was never giving that set. And you'll see a lot of fencers, they get their blades, and they just sort of, they hold, and they use that as a means to, they play range games. This is where you get into the physical chess side of things. And it's fascinating. But part of it is that's energy. And I don't have time for that. I teach a very, very patient, very not immobile, because I can be very mobile, but non-confrontatory. I'm a yin guy, 9 times out of 10. I'm not going to match your strength with mine because I might not win. But if I can redirect your strength, and it's much easier to redirect than stop. It's much easier to say, let's talk about something else than shut up. Think about how it works in conversation. Every fencing match, every sparring match, it's just a physical conversation. I love that. I got that phrase from Doug McIver. Videos, I have not met the man. He's on the incredibly short list of people who I would probably be really intimidated to talk to, but really want to, because I could learn a lot from him, but I'd feel like I'm wasting his time. But if you're fighting a stronger guy, and so when I hear people, they're stronger than me, folks, do you know why things went wrong here? I took my wrist up brace. You can see the lines as it's reinflating, and obviously my old 10 line. I've nerve damage in this hand. And sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's absolute crap. And sometimes it just goes, world flick or jar all on its own. That's a good way to have problems. So, I'm not going to win this strength contest. Now, my old man taught me, drilled into my skull the approach to a fight. You do not engage the enemy unless you have overwhelming odds or no other choice. So I'm not going to push fight versus fight if I don't have to. If I have any other option, I'm going to snake, I'm going to move, I'm going to bob, I'm going to weave. I don't want, I want to be much more fluid than that. There's a time to root yourself, but usually I just, nope. If you can get in a mentality of nope, you'll win. You really want to drive people nuts if you can refine the art of nope. What do I mean by that? Nope is, I'm going to parry, but I'm only going to parry enough. You understand? Very narrow margin of error because I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to big, wide open, ha-ha. One, people expect that. Two, they can counter that. But if they're going to get nope. I'm going to get nope. Just refining. And that's not a strength attribute. It's not a strength game. Now, it's scary when guys like John is one of them who can. Victor can. He rarely does. So when he does, it's shocking. A few others I've known can nope. Moonwolf nopes. But he hates being forced to nope. Interesting fight. Fascinating man. But when they can't tack you down, they get mad. And when people get mad, they get stupid. So, God. Man, yeah, you might hit harder. You might not notice some of the injury. But you're going to take more injury because you're being dumb. You control yourself. And, the other thing is they're going to take you for granted. As a smaller person, and this really, again, goes out to the females. This goes out to the ladies in my life who want to learn more fencing, those who've contacted me. That is an advantage. Sun Tzu, when you are strong, appear weak. When you are weak, appear strong. Keep guessing when they would have had you. And if they think they're stronger than you are, if you can get them to think they got you nailed in an obvious way, that is the heart and soul of a fan. You want them to feel like the ticker tape parade. As the sword comes crashing in the crowd above you. Then what do? Nope. Blows their minds. Their footwork will go to heck. Their guard, everything starts to break down out of frustration. And it's almost like that happens in life. It's almost like overlaps. Oh yeah, John put, remain calm, it frustrates your opponent. Oh my God, does it? Now, the reason I said earlier, if you start embracing this and you work this, it spreads to your real life. It has interesting applications, because I have found many times that certain people can't abide a neutral state. Okay? They have been so used to people cowing to them that not doing anything. So I'm not cowing, I'm not fighting back, I'm just being, is infuriating. Because then they realize to you they're not important enough to alter your behavior or action. One way or the other. They just don't matter. I've had people lose the take me serious. No. This is serious. You're not taking it serious. It's like, they might even beat me, but they don't get that ownership because I've noped them a few times. Just die already. No. We'll be intimidated. No. Part of it is I've been in so many situations where all parties involved could equally kick my butt in my youth. I can kick your butt. Okay. I might get scared of some people. And sometimes I'm scared of it. Sometimes I'm scared in real world, real world puff up altercations. Yeah, there's some fear there. In part because I don't want to knife somebody. And I can't take a beating. I have bone problems, I have nerve problems, I got joint problems. I can't take a beating. So, I have to be of a position to not get into a conflict or respond suddenly, aggressively with unexpected, overwhelming force to put down. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to feel bad about it. Like, even if there's no legal issues, even though there's, no problem, he was a bad guy, you're a good guy, heralded on the news, whatever. Anytime you have to hurt somebody to defend yourself, you feel bad afterwards. And if you don't, you have lost a level of empathy I'm not willing to give up. Footwork closing the difference imperceptibly until they make a mistake and don't realize you are in their shorts. Oh, yes. Now, see, this is what's annoying about somebody like John. A big guy is scary. A big guy who can move and intimately knows his reach is terrifying. Because they can do things outside of your reach. Because they have a band. They have a band where they're outside your reach, but you're not outside theirs. It is the happy place for someone like John. It's the the rush hour. I'm gonna kick you in the side of the head, and there is nothing you can do about it kind of thing. And that is not where you want to be as a short guy or anybody else. But if you can convince, even for a minute, that they can't reach you, or better, that you can't reach them. Now, if you can get them thinking they're in that sweet spot when they're not, sorry, computer jiggity stuff. They hate me. But, so, as a lighter, smaller fighter, especially the female, maintain your mobility, know your range, figure out theirs fast. You have two and only two approaches if you are a little person. The wait to or hope they screw up approach, or jump in their shorts approach. John, the problem is when you say, I like to be inside your reach. That's because you switched to knife work with the knife as long as my leg because you're that tall. It's annoying, John. But John makes a point, get in there, because you can overpower them. And that's that effect too. A big guy can break like a good big guy can break like a wave over you. And that's where you're facing them. They're stabbing you in the back, and you again, bad place to be. But we I don't usually get a lot of big guys going, Nick, how do I beat people? Big guys get it. Big guys are used to either, I reach long, I use my reach, I keep them where I want them, or I jump in their shorts and overpower them. Little guys have to work around it, so it's a different mentality. Sometimes I have to rein in somebody who's too aggressive, either as a big guy or a little guy, or I have to, 43-inch draw cut. But I was more happy about the reverse grip 17.5-inch draw cut to the guy's face. Still one of my favorite shots of all time. Boink. Oh. That's one of the things I tried to have my card pulled because I was talking to heavies and getting them defense. They finally got my card. But I got enough heavies nudged that I don't care. I love the thought that you're out there, Sabala's out there, a few others, causing absolute mayhem. Good. The fencers need it. But we're at about the hour line combine these videos. So I want to stop and say, I want to thank my Patreon supporters, or how I can afford to keep doing this, how I can afford to buy the trainers and gear. I can't thank you guys enough, really. Syndicate, the people who buy my book, I've gotten messages from people who are out of country, Australia, India, the UK, who are taking my book, The Simple Sword, and this mentality that I'm trying to teach, this very rational, logical, but not soulless approach. And it's teaching others. People can learn it because they can learn it easy, and they can learn it not simply. And that's what it's supposed to be about. So I want to thank you guys. And if you do want to support, please, $1 a month with anything that comes in is really appreciated. My finances are what they are, and I've been doing this on a shoestring budget for 20 years now. I'm feeling a little bit, guys. I'm feeling it. I'm good. I'm feeling it, and I'm appreciative. I do hope to have the heat is flirting with breaking finally. It was only 80 degrees, so hopefully I can get out and I can do some more videos. Which, I know there's a request for the chopsticks video. That feeds into Steve and a few others are trying to commission a very elaborate improvised defense video, and I still have that cloak video due, and I have others. So please fire off your requests, because I work best when I'm working with what I know the crowd wants. And as we get through what's going on right now together, we can get better. We can become better, and that's what I want to see. I want to see folks get better and stronger in their games. I'd like to hear more from AmpGuard guides. I'd love to hear more from LARP guys who want to take this time to refine their tactics. Because there are some good fighters out there. Don't ever think there aren't. But there are a lot who could use slightly more formal training, and they get run off by groups because they get gatekeepery. I don't believe in gatekeeping. I believe as long as you can be civil, respectful, and safe, you should be able to learn what I have to teach. And it's a sliding scale on a lot of that. But I think it can do good. And then, I look, like I said, I see, like John, as one of those impossible successes. Because I told him, no, we're not having SCA practices. There's no SCA practice. And there wasn't. That was not SCA. What we did, what John and I drilled in and trained in back at a certain blue trailer, Gall, doesn't even exist anymore, in Northwest Indiana. Outside of that trailer, we did stuff that was nowhere near. No one could ever confuse it. Did it work in allowing help crossover? Yeah, because it's about showing the rules and a way to incorporate. Because you don't take somebody if you are training a martial artist. You do not treat them like a frickin' noob. It's rude. They put their time in. Now, yes, you have to assess if they know what they're talking about. But if they can clearly know what they're talking about, they've clearly done stuff, you don't treat them like another noob. You don't try to tell them this is no. You look at what they do and how to incorporate what they know into this style. And yeah, they have to go over the homework like everybody else. I know. Yeah, I want to see how. And this is where, as an instructor, you have to assess. Instructing is not passive, and it's not one directional. Okay, and I see that a lot. A lot of people. This is the way to do it. And I'm going to tell you what to do, and you're going to do it. And the only way they're assessing is, are you doing what I told you to do? No. No, you're wrong. Wrong. And they're not going, why? Because I've had, I think, whip. Wait, we're pairing, we're doing stuff. And then, whip. What's the whip? Oh, I did Salah. And, okay, let's put a reverse blade dagger in that hand. Let's just see what happens. Split! Woo! We found a new plaything. You don't take their tools away, you add them to. You can't think of it like, you're not sitting down at the restaurant ordering one dish. That is not how I feel. Western martial arts, historical fencing, practical. Once you get out on the field, unless you are part of a group where you have to have interlocking tactics and techniques for everything to work. This is the Roman shield wall. Had to all fight the same. If you are doing that, you train that way, and everybody lines up and everybody trains. But if you are a solo act, or you're with a small group, you need to find your fight. Find your fight. And I give you basics, because if you don't have it, you can pull these up and be like, oh, I like that parry. Cool. I don't like, my footwork. Shoot, folks, I teach a basic footwork style, but if you watch what my feet do at any given point, I've got way too much Tai Chi and way too much of a bend in my ankles to have normal footwork. And yes, it is a case of do what I say, not what I do, because I do not have the same parameters. It's the same reason why a female has, the female wrist, okay, boom, whip, has, like, I can do it, but you see how much snappier it is in this hand? That's not because of handedness, and it's not because of the freaking wound on my arm. It's because the tendons work different. So a wrap shot, which this is the target, it comes around and hits from behind even though you're facing them, which is kind of a sexy thing to do. A wrap shot is an advanced male technique. It should be one of the first things a female or she also, don't try and do what I do. You'll break your ankles. That's the thing. John's a giant, and he talks a lot about his style and his prowess and traits, and you're gonna hear that. That's good. It's good to understand, because you need, as a big guy, you can't rely on being big. I've known too many. I'm bigger than you. Yup. I'm stronger than you. Yup. I'm gonna kill you. Nope. Why? It's just not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. You're gonna try, and I'm gonna poke you a lot. And then it just becomes dude, you're gonna bleed out. That's how it's gonna be. We're gonna do that. I will, a walking predation is a proud human trait. Death of 1,000 paper cuts. But what John's done is he keeps fluid. If you are big, learn fluidity. My buddy Steve just piped on. Hi, Steve. Oh, now I want to follow with the damn it, Steve. He piped in, I can pick you up and use you as the weapon, LOL. Like, there's certain things I wanted. Many years ago, I wanted to put Steve and Al in a sparring session or two with karambits and watch what happened. And it was beautiful. And different things happened, and everybody learned. It was a great time. And I think they're at least respectful of each other, if not actually friends. I think they're friends. I would love to put John and Steve in a room. And I would love to put whatever hand-to-hand trainers we got handy and just let them have fun and sit back with a cold beverage and watch. Yes. Yes. I have seen John Miner invoke the AB MFer, where I'm going to hit one MFer with another MFer. You're a Class B MFer. What that means, you're the one I'm going to hit the Class A's with. Bam. It'd be a bit like if Jeremy Clarkson decided he was tired of James May's stuff, so he picked up Richard Hammond and beat him with him. Of course, we have sparred, and I've had John pick people up and pick me up as a shield and reach extender. Not quite the whole toss me but don't tell the elf, but more like, wee, you are my buckler. Oh shoot! Da 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 da. But that was a long time ago, and there's a lot more of me than there used to be. But yeah, I would love to see you two spar. It would be truly delightful. I'm not going to have any root beer left for my root beer float, and I'm okay with that. I really needed this. But, whew, let's see. What should we talk about next week? Hopefully next week I will be able to get the John just said walls don't have pockets. That would be how I met John. Okay, because I know the indeed. When I first met John Miner, he was sitting on the floor, if I believe Mikey's trailer, sitting plop. And I'd been going out with Amanda a bit, and he was almost as tall as I was sitting, with him sitting on the floor and me standing. And I noted this. This bothered me. What I didn't realize is he's a leggy height. So I'm saying something. I turn around and he had stood up, and I turned. So it's really weird. So it's just, and there's this mint green that's sort of the color of primer on drywall you see sometimes. And I'm confused because I was brought up by my dad. You know the exits. Everywhere you go, have an exit plan. It's always going in the back of your head. I'm looking at this, and my brain is not. It's like walls don't have pockets because there's this pocket. What was it? It was his bibbies, and the pocket. Okay, so like the bibbies come down, the pocket right here was right starting nose high on me. And I look up, and he's looking down, this big, billowy beard. Hey there, funny man. This bass crescendo rolling down upon me. Good times. Good times. Okay, so looks like right now we got three watchers, 2 likes. I don't know who is it liking what I'm doing, but either tell me what I'm doing wrong or smash that like button so YouTube at least likes me. Yes, your daughter set me up. Yes, she abso-fraggin-lutely, because I think she wanted to know if I was going to run like Rabbit, which I did not. Contrary to some very established attempts to suggest the good logic of, feats don't fail me now. I was oddly motivated. But we're next week should have some new materials, in that I want to get back ahead. My work schedule shifted a bit, so I'm much later getting home for this than I previously was. So I have to amend that. So yeah, but I'm hoping to have some more trainers made. I want to hopefully if the weather breaks this week, shoot some video that is not live stream. You guys need to give me the questions. I honestly expected this no practice do the live stream to be 8 weeks at the most, and I'm at 25. It changed, and if I'm really living at this is my Friday night activity, I'm going to have to really update my background and start taking this to the next level serious, which I can do if that's what you guys truly enjoy. And if you do, I just need the feedback. I really want to thank John Miner. I want to thank Steve Clausen, whatever happens. So I still have about another half hour in me. But I want to thank you guys, because the feedback is a huge part of what keeps me able to do this. Here we go. Thank you for all your send letters. Oh, cool. I just found out I'll be getting something else to review. Groovy. That's nice. So I should have a new item to review. The 10th. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I am going to thank my supporter. You know who you are. And let me see. Oh, you apologize. Let me tell you something. Amazon took my book and scrambled it. I was not happy. And I want to thank Cindy Kep, who may be watching from a tablet. That happens to her a lot. If not, I know she'll catch it later. For letting me in on that. I spent a lot of hours doing re-edits and layout changes and trying to get it all to mash up. And I've learned a lot between the writing and making and fixing of the simple sword. So the strong sword, when I go to hit it up and make it go, should be a lot better. But thank you. Let me see. I got a comment. Yes. Okay, sure. We'll talk about that. Boob armor. Am I pro or against boob armor? A woman's armor should be tailored to her in the way of the hip motions, the way the back, the shoulder differences. It should fit. There are some ladies I've known who the only way to make that fit is to add extra molding around the cups. That is a valid thing, but you don't want to go full Xena. As much as I love cleavage, and the female form in general. I'm a big fan of it, artistically, emotionally. It's just good stuff. You want your armor to be practical, and there's some footage out there now of female bowhurt fighters, female jousters, and their armor isn't sexualized. That's what I'm looking for. But the hip flare is there because their hips move differently. The female's knee has oftentimes different tendon alignments, so it bends differently. It's an armoring, I want to say conundrum. It's an armoring challenge. And it's one that's not taken very seriously. This is also for people of size. Armoring someone who is of a different build is very different than armoring somebody who's very narrow. A skinny person's armor, you have more straight lines to work with. The more curves you have to work with, the more tricky the articulation can be. But it's doable, and it should always provide as much safety as their male counterparts, or more in certain regions. So I know that was a kind of convoluted answer. I have seen some amazing breastplates that were also anatomically appreciative. But I don't think you should err in the you also need to be aware of armor pinch or bite. I've made a lot of and adjusted almost there. Yes. Well, here's the thing. He's talking about sorry. But here's the thing. What happened with the armoring, especially with the SCA, I found, is there was very often rush. There was a sense of we have to get this knocked out, get this fixed a lot of times at an event, at an overnight event, at a camping event, at Pensick, things like that. And a lot of times the fit and finish kind of concepts would get glossed over. In the everybody wants to go out and fight, everybody wants to have fun. Everybody, wow, I had 3 people and then lost 2. Okay, but what you want is to I really wish more practices involved armoring, and it takes patience, and no, I don't want to do it. It's worth it to slow, figure out the motions. Moves. Is it starting to bite? Everything stops. You fix the bite, then go on. And that's hard for everybody to do that because the fighter wants to fight, and I'm tough. I don't care about the bites, and then they're bleeding all over the place, or they got big old bruises. Take the time, and that's the fighters and the armorers. Eventually, I would like to do a book focusing heavier on improvised armor. Matta's armor took 3 weeks to get fitted right, and it still had problems. And that you guys went through a lot, and I got to see some of it, and her decision not to fight was one of health, but I will always see it as a tragedy too, because she had real talent. She has it. The talent's still there, but the armoring, somewhere I have a little binder where I actually designed the knees that would probably work for her, but they had to be articulated, not just standard axis knee, but they had to be able to flatten out the sides. They had to be articulated here, and I don't even know if that would have been SCA legal at the time, because that would be like lamellar knees, a very weird concept, but it was the only way to make them work, in my opinion, because the big domes that had to be over there, I jokingly used as Warcraft pauldrons, messing around one day, and that's what it took to do. You guys made some neat stuff. I would love to see, God, if Jess were alive, I would love to see the man set up a YouTube channel about armoring. I think all the list of things you really need to think about, John, is taking that step and setting up things that's going to preserve your tremendous knowledge base. Because I am a generalist, guys. Excuse me. I know a lot of things, but I don't always know them as deep as I would like. And John's got, we'll say, 20 years, kindly, on me. And he has a lot. And this is why I'm always, guys, if you know what you're talking about, if you're talented in your field, write up a manual on how you fight. If you've developed your own fighting style, which I know John has, you've written technical manuals for work. Write a manual. I bug Marco all the time. Write a manual. Write your style down. This is how you pay back the karma for what fighting has done for you. And in that, John, I would love, I would love for you to make an advice thing that I could actually give to Steve's son, who was considering making sword riggings and things. It's not being taught because people hoard that knowledge to up their personal and economic value. They treat it with a supply and demand mentality. And that really cheeses me, because it's gotten to the extreme where the knowledge gets lost, the experience gets lost, it gets forgotten, it gets deleted. History as a concept loses these chunks, and it has validity, it has importance, it has value, it has purpose, and it can help others find value and purpose and build up. Now, there are always going to be the champions among us. We are the champ. The best and the brightest who rise above the flock and shoot for the stars. And I don't give a rat's butt about most of them because they've got the drive. They know it. They have the body to do it. They can do it, and they're doing it. So all I need to do is get myself out of the way and let them ascend. But you see the people who are stumbling, hey, they could use some help. I could do some good there. And so can you, because I always say there are two ways to improve the pyramid. The guys like I was talking about, they always want to push the top, make it narrower. Only the best and the brightest will ascend. And my thought is, I want to lift the bottom up one notch. They want to personally go up 12. Awesome. I want one for everybody. Book. And that annoys me because that makes me less special. Good for you. Work harder. If you can't take the concept of things not being easy, get up out of here. I don't have time for you. Because I deal with people, I think of my students, and they're amazing. They're freaking heroic. Jim beat cancer twice. If you watch my videos from way back down at the Creek Ridge Park, you're going to see Jim doing stuff. He was taking freaking chemotherapy learning defense. I'm sorry. Suck it if you want to whine at me. I know people who've been through horrible personal things. Veterans who have the kind of PTSD nightmares that would crush the neighborhood if they had any idea. Women who've endured abuse and rape, and people who've overcome suicide, and they've overcome horrific things, and they just want to get better, get a little stronger, because they get the person you're fighting when you take up the sword has very little to do with the match at the end of the day. I mean, there's some people who that's the motivation. I beat you, I get the award. People go, ooh, ooh, ooh. And great on you. Hoobah for the champion. But then there are the people who are like, man, they're fighting the demons in their head. They're just projecting them on the person they're beating. And those are the folks that I think I can do the most good with. And those are the ones I do the most good with. I think of the people, I want to learn how to do this. Well, John, you're a better armorer than I am. You're a more experienced armorer than I am. Write an armoring book. Preserve that knowledge. Because the horrible fact is, if I were to talk about everything that makes my condition how it is, if I were to talk about my health and details that the internet, the world doesn't need to know, I do guarantee a bunch of people will be like, how are you doing that? I've walked into doctors' offices at different points in my life and had them go, how are you even standing? Okay, we need to recheck these numbers. How are you standing? Because I'm freaking stubborn. I'm not going to be here forever. But the work is more important than the worker. When you are doing something that helps people, that builds up, that elevates an art, or elevates the other people's understanding, or opens up a door because the gatekeepers have locked all the gates, so you have to blast a hole in the side of the frickin' mountain and use your own reputation as the fuel. I don't care. I don't care, what it costs to do this, because it's important. And I know that's why I was so mad. You guys have no idea why I was so mad about my book being messed up. Because that's if I get hit by a bus, if I step out in some John Deere combine, Bo Duke ramps over the hill and takes me out in a spray of blood and corn, my son can still pick up that manual. He can open it up and read my way of teaching, my thoughts on this matter. People half a world away who want to learn. Maybe they can't afford it because people keep their manuals so dang expensive. Or they're so insular. People who have color or gender or orient. I don't care. If you want to learn to fight, you should be able to. And if you have knowledge, John, and John's one of these people, Steve has a different set of knowledge that I've seen him demonstrate. Marco has some. Al, amazing fencer. I would love to see that man not only build up his fencing stuff, but become a fencing coach because he's that talent and that passion. We have this gift, okay, and we may have earned it. You know what I mean? People say a gift. No, we have a position. Let's say we have an achievement. You know, it really is a power. We can affect change with this. And my man Peter's going to say it. With great power comes great responsibility, and the responsibility as a sentient being who knows the concept of mortality is if we have knowledge and understanding, we need to create a means to disseminate, to share, to make that knowledge available. In nature, the concept of nature is genetics. You know, the idea is go out, mate, crank out babies, because you want your genetics, your makeup, to become what the next generation is. That's life drive. We're sentients, and there is a level beyond that where it's ideas, thoughts that might be important. And I think they're more important than me. I mean, let's go over it, guys. You know what? Let's go over it. Got stabbed in the hand today. I had a spasm, stabbed myself. My book was the Amazon actually screwed up my file, and I spent a large portion of this week fixing it. Flanman 90. My book is fixed, but it was upsetting. But, you know, my elbow has a ding because I had the tip of it broke off by a great sword. My right wrist has been damaged from off-road skateboarding, but also a whole lot of abuse. 5 of my ribs were torn from my sternum, and 3 of them cracked because I took a heavy double lunge. There were some typos. Basically, what happened is they corrupted and it brought back the wrong file. So there were some typos. If you have the digital version, there shouldn't be any. The now, and it should automatically update. The digital version had actually a couple pages delete. I caught it before it got too bad with the original, with the hard copy. So what you'll see is a lot of repeated words, like it will be I was going out, or things like that, simple typos. And it may have only been for a few of them. Like I said, I found out about the digital and I checked it and I checked the up one, so I tried to fix it. So it's going, I hope, better. But yeah, it was just one of those fluke computer errors. If you're around me, computers absolutely hate me. John's seen it. Steve's seen it. My wife's watched printers explode because I was stressed out. But yeah, I carry a cacophony of permanent injuries. I had throat injury from getting gacked. I almost died from overheating at an event. I got told I wasn't supposed to talk about training stuff, what we do outside the group, and I got my name slandered across all 7 continents. LOL, what are you, magic? Realistically, I have an electrolyte thing. My grandpa did too. he was a welder who could not wear a watch, because if he had a watch and it wasn't glass side down, he'd magnetize the parts. I pick up a charge and I hold it. So anytime I get hit by electricity, it tends to linger for a while. Not real sure why, but it has had colorful, and a lot of that gets into some stuff I bumped into when I used to be a paranormal researcher, which I no longer do field work. We'll put it that way. I am retired from field work. I still occasionally do some research and support side in rare cases, but there's a lot of overlap between sword mastery and the occult. It just seems to be a thing. I've given up fighting it. It's also I just don't engage it. But it is going on 10 o'clock, and that is when I usually cut off. I am sorry for the brief problem with the interruption between shows. Thank you all for your patience. Please feel free to continue commenting on this, because I respond to everything that isn't like, come watch our video about selling stuff on YouTube, because occasionally we get bots and I just zap that stuff. But I want to thank John and Steve for some really colorful conversation today. Brought up good points. We had fun. I want to thank Cindy Kep as always. I want to thank Flanman90. Thank you for coming down and chatting with us. Tell me what you think of the book. And it may be a case of where I know you, I just don't know you by your handle. And if not, cool either way. It's supposed to be out there helping people and encouraging people, and that's what I'm about. Obviously, or else I would have been on that lovely rant. But other than that, if you like what I'm doing, please consider becoming a Patreon. I am a patron on Patreon. The link will be in the bottom of this video when I get it uploaded, wrapped up. And or you just look for the Historical Fencing Guild and the boot, and that's Nicholas Tucker. Oh, I'm learning from Tracy and saw your book at the start. I'm so glad, Flanman. I am so glad. Right now I'm doing a live video every Friday, and it's from 8 o'clock Eastern to 10 o'clock Eastern. I've been doing this for now 25 weeks. This used to be when I would have my weekly practice with local people, but because of the injury, oh look, it all sealed up, or mostly. Anyway, because of the danger virus floating about, I can't really have practice safely for people. So we'll see. But as you come across questions, please look me up. There is a public Facebook group, the Historical Fencing Guild group /public. Some people have asked, I heard there used to be another one. There is, and it's for things like, oh, I'm running late. Who's bringing food? It's not exciting, guys. I don't put the fun stuff there. Fun stuff gets channeled to the public group. But as you have questions, please contact me. And every week, I'm going to keep doing this pretty much as long as it goes. I may have a mid-September break, depending on what we do, because there's a vacation coming up. But other than that, thank you so much. And if you haven't, please hit that like button, because that's going to let YouTube make sure other people get to see that this is going on and that it's live. And stay safe, folks. Keep practicing. Keep your guard up. I have like 3 or 4 videos planned that the heat has kept me from doing it. As the heat breaks, good things are coming. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sitting on a Friday night listening to a certain fat old swordsmaster prattle on for, at this point, an hour and a half after the first chunk of video. So, thanks, guys. And as always, support your local swordmaster.